Okay, so more fun with multiplication in the area model. So here's my start on this. In order to do this problem, I got to write a bunch of stuff down. Number one is the original problem. What is 2/3 times 1/4? So I've got that. Next is a note to myself here that multiplication is an area, and that area is base times height. So I expect, at least for the first problem in the set of these, that you write that down, you write that down. From there, we need to know what 1 is. And so from here to here is 1. And so I'm showing what 1/4 of that 1 is. From here to here is 1. And so I'm showing here that's 2/3. So this rectangle right here is 2/3 by 1/4. Now, a whole is 1 by 1 because 1 times 1 is 1. So the whole is this big yellow thing. And so to figure out what part of the whole my little red space is here, I had to mark off the other fourths. So you see I drew dotted lines for all of the fourths. I also drew dotted lines for all of the thirds. How many pieces do you see in a whole here? Correct answer. Hopefully you're saying 12 to yourself. Yep. And in my shaded area, I have 1, 2 of those 12 pieces. So 2/3 times 1/4 has to be 2/12. Okay. Why is it 2/12? Well, because multiplication is an area. Area is base times height, and a fraction is a part of a whole. So let's add that again here. Fraction is a part of a whole. Now, the question is, can I take this farther, and why? So I'm just going to recreate this picture and slide that over. So can I just grab that? Oh, no. I have to hit that button. I got to do this over. No, really? Sorry. Sometimes technology is not my friend. Okay, that's totally messed up. Try again. Okay, there we go. All right, so ignore this mess on the left. I've recreated it on this side here. To figure out how to move the 2/12 to another answer, I have to hope to be able to spot equal sized groups. And so I'm just going to pick a new color and draw on this right here. I have a group of 2 here. Are there other groups of 2? Let's look around. Well, here's another group of 2. There's another group of 2. There's another group of 2. Here's another group of 2. And look, there are an equal amount of groups of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 2. Grouping by 2 is division. So the relationship between my grouping and this here is I'm saying, hey, let's divide 2 by 2. That gives me 1 group of 2 here. And 12 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 2. So another way to state this answer is 1/6. So you could justify 1/6 if you adapt your drawing to do so. And in order to do that, I have to look for groups of 2. Which justifies my division top and bottom by 2. And remember, we did a similar thing with the last problem. Over here, I was able to find groups of 3, which relates to that those 2 divisions up there to reduce there. So you can reduce if you can find groups in your image. Okay. So again, multiplication is an area. You have to take each of your numbers and put them into an area where one number is your base, the other number is your height. You can't turn that base times height into a number unless you know what 1 whole is. That would be this whole length of 1 there and this whole width of 1. So this big square is 1 whole. Based on that, I can tell you how much this is of the whole. It's 2 out of 12 pieces for a whole. Is that more clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So again, what I want you to do for homework is to try the other problems we haven't done. So I haven't gone over 1/2 times 2/3. You're going to try that one on your own. I haven't gone over 7/3 times 1/4. You're going to try that one on your own. And then we can talk about it later. All right, so one thing, I just want to make some observations based on the work that we've done. So move this over, get back here. So here are my observations. We started off, we've done a bunch of different problems today. So we did 3/4 times 1/3 using the pattern blocks, and we found out that the answer there was 3/12, and we were able to reduce that. I'm not going to worry about the reduction yet. We looked at 5/6 times 1/2 when you guys were in your groups, and I think most of the groups came out with the answer there was 5/12. We looked at 1/4 times 2/3 and found the result was 2/12. We looked at, let's see, what else did we do? We did 1/5 times 1/3, and we found that the answer was 1/15. And we did a couple more. I'm just going to write down one more. So I'm trying to move stuff out of the way here. There we go. We did 1.5 times, what was that one, times 1/3, and found the answer there was 3/6. Now this one's a little bit more deceptive compared to the others because the 1.5 is the problem. And I mentioned the other day that you're way better off viewing things like this as improper fractions than mixed numbers. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So what I really should do is view this as 3/2 times 1/3 is 3/6. And what I want to do now is try and find a relationship. Does the answer here have some direct relationship with the numbers I started with? This answer, the numbers I started with. This answer, the numbers I started with. And what we should see as a pattern is that, well, wait a minute, isn't 3 times 1 3? Oh yeah, check it out, 3 times 1 is 3. And 4 times 3 is 12. So it looks like with multiplication of fractions, if we multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators, we get a new numerator and new denominator. New numerator, new denominator. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. There was no need for a common denominator here. Let's just point that out. When we were adding and subtracting, we had to have a common denominator. We did not have to do that here. Never came up, not once. Not when we were playing with pattern blocks, not when we were drawing the pictures. All it was a simple multiplication of numerators, multiplication of denominators. That's the algorithm. Multiplication is way easier than addition or subtraction. So this is the algorithm for multiplication of fractions. That's simple. Multiply numerators, multiply denominators, there's your answer. Now, can you reduce sometimes? Sure, you can. And we'll talk more about reducing later. I want to shift gears over to division next. So I'm going to show you a division problem with some toys, and then I'm going to have you guys split up and try and do another one. So let me just describe a little about where we're going with this. We are looking at division of fractions. And division, we have a couple of different definitions for in terms of physically what they mean. One of them back from whole numbers was repeated subtraction. And another one was groups in, is what I called it. And just to illustrate an example of the groups in, 6 divided by 2 means, whoa, how many groups of 2 are in 6. Right? And we should be able to see, given 6 things, that there's 1, 2, 3 groups of 2 in 6. And that's related to the repeated subtraction. So this is like the physical version of repeated subtraction. And I call this the groups in method because I'm looking for groups in, groups of 2 in 6. And so this is what I'm going to try and illustrate with some pattern blocks. The problem I'm going to do is I'm going to try and show 3/4 divided by 1/4. And so the question that's being asked here is how many groups of 1/4 are in 3/4. And so in order to do this, I need to see what 1/4 looks like. I need to see what 3/4 look like. Because up here with 6, I had to see 6 and know what a group of 2 was. So I need to know what a group of 3/4 look like, and I need to know what a group of 1/4 looks like. So let's try it. Let's get a new pattern block page here. Okay, so I think I'll stick with what I was doing before, that 2 of these is going to be 1 whole. So I'll just label that. There's my 1 whole. And just a note on this, when I write it this way, how many groups of 1/4 are in 3/4, that's kind of like long division. 1/4 goes into 3/4 how many times, right? Like up here, 2 goes into 6 how many times? So this question allows me to write it as long division. So I'm going to do that in my pattern block page. So next I'm going to draw a 4th. So there's 1/4. And then next to it, I'm going to draw 3/4. Up a touch. Okay. And then I'm just going to draw like that long division symbol here. Okay. And then I'm just going to look at this and say, okay, how many groups of this are in that? Well, I think there's 3, right? There's 3 of these. I need a different color. Green. There's 3 of these right here, right? 1, 2, 3. Now, it doesn't always work out that nice, but this time it does. Whoa, super easy. Don't really have to do much more. So the answer is just 3. Done. 3/4 divided by 1/4 is simply 3. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys do one of these, and I have 3 problems to do. There's an easy one, a medium one, and a hard one. Does anybody want to try? I'm going to turn off my share for a sec.